challenge in a bar to the 90th running of the premier mountain race of the summer and an Alaskan Independence Day tradition, Mount Marathon, a race that demands speed, strength, guts, and endurance. Who will triumph? Find out now.
At its best on this July 4th. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to our coverage of Mount Marathon, the 90th running of this great Alaskan tradition. Dave Goldman, along with Clint McCool and Emily Carlson of KTVA, has joined us as well. It is the third leg of this race today, and now it is the men's turn. Already the juniors have come in, a couple of multiple winners there. We also had a performance and another legend which grew a little more from the ladies division, and now the gentlemen are ready to take it on. Clint McCool, we've discussed it a little while ago. We have, well, what we expect to be a 2, 3, 4 horse race perhaps. You never know there's a dark horse, but right now, boy, one guy named Patterson's looking awfully strong.
He is. Right now, he's just by far the most fit guy in the group, and he's already coming off of 2 victories this summer in the other mountain races, and he won them in very impressive fashion. So, without a couple of the other gentlemen that couldn't make it back this year, you certainly have to be looking at Scott as the front runner. That being said, there are several very experienced runners, and Eric Strabel, Jim Shine is back this year in very good shape. Matthias Sari. There's a new kid, Kenny Brewer. I shouldn't say new, but he's on the younger side, and he's had a couple of great races this summer too.
So, as you mentioned, one of the big hooks here is that last year's champion David Norris is not here. The skier from APU has Olympic aspirations, and he's focusing on that. Nick Elston out of British Columbia from Squamish also not racing as the number 2. But again, you never know with this thing. You never count out a guy like Strabel, who's been playing a little bit of that, that little pigeon this thing there. Well, maybe not this year. Well, we all know with Strabel, if he's up at that top of the hill and within a minute of Scott Patterson, who appears to be coming in very fit, you never know. Very much looking forward to it as well. Emily Carlson, you know what? As we have a chance here, as the runners get ready to go 30 seconds away, you were on that hill today again. Another finish, another personal best for you. I had that camera on you too. Tough course, tough trail, and you certainly earned it today.
Muddy going up. Once you hit the halfway point, tons of flies coming down. Here they go. Coming down, it was pretty slippery too. The cliffs, I know a lot of the guys were asking me how are the cliffs coming down. They were super slippery. I had to be very, very careful. I took twice as much time as last year because most of the guys go on the waterfall, so I think it's a tough decision. Cliffs or waterfall today?
Well, it's one of those many questions. We discussed it throughout the ladies' race, and here we go. And it's one of those first moments right away, Clint, that you're always watching. You really, every second counts in this thing if you're trying to win it, and already the strategy begins getting to that point where you can make the hill climb right away.
Absolutely. Anybody not familiar with the race, I mean, you just can't understand how imperative it is to get to the mountain, because once you get to the mountain, the crowd bottlenecks. The trails are very narrow. It actually becomes just single file. So you can imagine having 200 people running next to you, and you get to, all of a sudden, there's a point where it's single file. So getting to the mountain in the lead, especially for the competitive runners, is imperative. They simply can't allow themselves to be back behind more than a half a dozen guys. So we get a shot of Patterson here. He's your front runner. He's wearing number 4 because he finished 4th place last year. When you look at their bib numbers, you'll be able to see of the top 50, they give you your bib number from the previous year, place from the previous year. And you know, Scott's running right through here. You won't see very many of the guys doing this. This is just a testament to his fitness, and he's already gapping the rest of the field. He's just, like I said from the beginning, his strategy is to pile it on early on, and he's going to try to build a lead to the top that he can then ride to the finish. He really doesn't want to have to duel with anybody coming down the mountain, partially because of his aspirations to make the Olympic team this next year.
Again, we're seeing what we've seen the years past as we see them work those routes.
Running away with this, which we did expect, but he's going even at even a better clip than I thought he would be able to go to all by himself.
You know,
Yeah, well, I can't really tell from this particular angle, but it looks to me,
wow.
from that angle, he's got 2.5 minutes on the guy behind him. You know, on the screen it may not look that far, but you got to remember how steep this is. That's probably 2.5 minutes.
Everything looks easy when you're sitting there and watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, too, you take a look at how the second runner is doing and the posture and the cadence there, too.
Yeah, we weren't quite close enough for me to identify that guy, but as we get a little closer, we get a closer shot of him. I'll be able to tell you who's going. Oh, wow. That's a little bit. Yeah, that's a little surprising. That's Eric Johnson, and he was hard to recognize with the beard. He doesn't always have that big of a beard going on, but yeah, he's a super strong climber, and he's kind of making it look like he's out for a Sunday stroll with that baseball cap and stuff on. A little out of character, but he's making a strong run at it and holding on second place with quite a bit of margin, actually. Yeah, Patterson, his cadence has slowed down a little bit because I think he just feels like, you know, he's very comfortable. He's even his posture, his back's not even arched really much at this point, and he's not working nearly as hard as he could. He's still moving really, really well though, and you know, he'll save a little bit for the downhill to make sure he's comfortable, not take any chances. But I don't see anybody getting anywhere near him unless he takes an unforeseen fall.
So we'll bring our clock in for the first time today as we push 27 minutes now. And Clint can look at this one as well as his own, because he does, folks. If you're standing here with us, he either has his eyes on a monitor or the racers, or he's got his eyes on that watch there. And Patterson right now doesn't even need a watch. He doesn't have one, and frankly, he doesn't need anything to pace himself right now, does he?
No. For you folks at home, record pace last year for David Norris, made it to the top of the mountain in about 30-30. The exact split, I think, was 30-20, 30-28. So Patterson's got about 3 minutes to round the rock if he wants to be pushing that record pace.
As Scott Patterson working his way to the top and just running away literally from the field, Clint.
He is. He's approaching the top lip of the mountain right now, and he is about 30 seconds off of David Norris's record pace last year. But last year himself, he ran to the top in 31:50, so he's right on track to match his own time from last year, which is still a remarkably fast time, probably the third or fourth fastest uphill ascent in history. And he's looking super, super strong. He's got a huge lead over second place, which is currently Eric Johnson from Seward. And he's got a comfortable lead now. He just has to take it easy, not get hurt, and make sure that he doesn't let anybody else catch up to him.
So 31:44 right up there, and look pretty strong doing it.
Yeah, and he's taking a really good line. There's a couple of entry points off the top of the mountain that the racers are looking for, and he's taking, I was up there myself last night scouting the entry points for the other racers, and he went right to the one he should have gone to, which is great. It's the same one that Ali Ostrander used in her victory earlier today. Yeah, he's getting those legs moving. When you've been going uphill, for the viewers out there, you guys have to realize how steep that is. This guy is going from the top of the mountain to the base of the mountain is a mile. And he's going to do that mile on that kind of technical terrain in right at 6 minutes. So for any of you at home that have tried to run a mile in 6 minutes, try running a mile down a mountain on boulders and then through a creek on slippery rocks and then descend a cliff and still do it in 6 minutes.
We saw Eric Strapel take a pretty good tumble last year on the way down.
And right behind him, number 2.
There's Eric. He's got he's going to be about 3 minutes back from Scott at this point on the top of the mountain, which is not going to be surmountable unless Scott happens to take a bad fall. But Eric's looking really strong. This is the strongest finish he's ever had.
Number 16, I know when we saw him jump out of the bushes, it surprised you.
Yeah, it did. I mean, Eric is a really strong runner.
Sure.
He was 16th, but he was 16th place last year. So for him to jump from 16 to number 2 is a very large leap. He apparently has been doing some training though, because he's looking good. That's Scott again that we're showing now, and you can see that the dark material that he's running down. That shows you how moist the shale is. It's super, super soft right now. It is the best shale downhill running conditions we've had in 25 years here, and it makes it a little easier for the guys. It doesn't necessarily help try to break a record because we didn't have any snow this year to slide on, but it does make the downhill running a little bit easier. You'll see Eric slipping on those gloves that he had tucked in the back of his shorts there. A lot of the guys do that. I do it myself because I want to protect my hands on the downhill. Scott doesn't feel like he needs it. He's running with no gloves on at all, and just trusting his feet.
It's about a 2-minute difference in time between those two from when Scott went to the top to Eric as number 2, and Scott just looks comfortable now.
Yeah, he's just flying at this point. He's not too far from the crossover point, halfway. He'll be hitting the crossover point here in just a few seconds. In the background, you can see all the other climbers that are still working their way to the top. Eric's on his way down, and again, being from Seward, he knows the mountain well. He's very well versed in running the scree down, and he's doing really well. That appears to be, I believe that's Kenny going around the top. Yeah, that's Kenny Brewer, and he's having a really strong race too. This is a breakout year for him.
You really liked him coming into this thing.
I did. He's had a couple of real strong races already this year, and I expected him to be right up there in the fray.
And of course, great shots right there. The fact that we can have a picture from the top of the mountain and see the folks at the bottom. Yep. That's good. We don't always have that.
No, that is just some fantastic coverage or footage you're getting there. It looks like you're right in front of him right there.
Welcome back, everybody, and that is a great shot from one of our drones here today. Mount Marathon coverage on KTVA, GCI channel 907, ktva.com. Scott Patterson trying to make his way down that treacherous hill. Clint has always discussed how difficult it can be, how tricky, even as you are racing and blowing past the field.
Absolutely. Scott's making it look easy, but there's nothing easy about running down that creek bed. It's a section of the mountain we call the gut, and there's a creek running down there, and you have to splash through it. You can see the size of those boulders. A lot of them are covered with lichen and moss, and they're extremely slippery. He's now on what's called the crossover trail, and he has a super commanding lead, even though he keeps looking over his shoulder just to make sure no one wants to be taken off guard. You can see how muddy the trail still is there in some places. He was sliding there. The women had it a lot worse today than the men, but even with Scott there, you can see how muddy that trail is. And when you're trying to run fast, it can be pretty treacherous.
The closest person to him right now is one of ours.
Yeah. On the prize.
Well, what a strong performance today from Scott Patterson, 25 years old. He, of course, has Olympic aspirations. I'll tell you what, if he's able to approach the Olympics the way he's approached this thing, we're looking at a gold medalist.
Yep, Scott's got a long career still ahead of him, and this year he's right on the cusp of making the Olympic team. It's great to see, to see someone like Eric having such a standout year. I mean, he's gonna have a personal best here by a significant margin, and it's great to see. He's working hard. You can see him swinging those arms and trying to stride out. Scott's got a little more of a relaxed pace going. But for Scott, he was expecting to win. I don't think Eric was expecting second place, so he's had a fantastic day.
Yeah, Scott's making it look easy, Eric not, but let's not forget, Eric is second only to one person here. That's Scott Patterson.
That's right.
Dominant performance today. No surprise as he comes in for the smooth landing. Yep. So we better get down to Emily Carlson, who is standing by with our winner, Emily.
I have Scott Patterson here with me. Scott, you were the clear favorite coming in. A lot of people said you were going to win. How did that mess with your head game? How did you prepare for this race?
I mean, it's just a summer race. Skiing's always been my focus, so I was a little nervous, but just I knew I had the uphill, I knew I have the fitness, so I just took it out smooth and tried to build as much of the lead as I can. And I mean, nerves played a little role, but I was feeling good. I've raced big. World Cups feel a little bigger, or like when there's really something on the line, like an Olympic berth or something. This is just for fun.